this bulletin, the Salvation Army says millions of Australians struggle with poverty. Hillsong hits the top of the charts again. And would you rather be microchipped than use a credit card?
Just for the record, this is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
A new report from the Salvation Army suggests that as many as 2.5 million Australians are living below the poverty line. A survey of 2,400 Salvos clients found that on average they had $18 to live on per week once accommodation expenses were paid for. The Salvation Army says this level of persistent disadvantage traps people in a cycle of poverty that's difficult to escape from. Part of the solution, they say, is for governments to invest more in poverty alleviation programs, as well as raising welfare payments that have not kept pace with inflation for several years. The Salvation Army's Red Shield appeal is an attempt to provide assistance for hundreds of thousands of people who seek their help every year. As federal politicians continue tough negotiations over plans to reduce Australians' carbon emissions, religious leaders say there's a moral imperative to take strong action on the issue. In open letters to the Prime Minister and opposition leader, the Australian religious response to climate change challenged the nation's leaders to consider a 40% reduction in the 1990 level of carbon emissions by 2025. The Interfaith Coalition includes religious leaders from the Catholic, Anglican and Uniting churches, as well as from Jewish, Hindu and Buddhist traditions. The letters say that despite their differing beliefs, they find common moral and religious reasons to move more strongly on reducing carbon pollution levels. In what's becoming a predictable achievement, worship band Hillsong United has once again topped Australia's album charts. According to themusic.com.au, Hillsong United's new album Empires edged out Daniel John's, Eurovision and the Pitch Perfect 2 soundtrack to top the ARIA album charts. According to America's Billboard magazine, Empires is also headed for a top 10 spot on its album charts, the second Hillsong United album to do so. It's well known that a healthy lifestyle can reduce the risk of cancer. But what if you do all the right things and still get cancer anyway? Well, according to an article published by Cancer Research UK, evidence is emerging that people diagnosed with bowel cancer may have a better chance of surviving if they've had a healthy lifestyle up until then. The strongest indicators of surviving bowel cancer among 3,000 or so men and women involved in a large European study was a healthy weight and high consumption of plant foods.
It's never too little too late. It's obviously much better if you've been on the healthy lifestyle all along. But there is a growing body of evidence from the EPIC study, from Dean Ornish's research into prostate cancer, showing that changing to a healthy lifestyle can make a significant difference.
If you ask the average primary school student which foods they don't like, chances are they'll name vegetables. But a new healthy eating program in New Zealand is encouraging kids to eat those words. The Eat Your Words nutrition sessions have helped students in 7 Kiwi primary schools to become familiar with vegetables, fruits, legumes, grains, nuts and seeds. A part of the strategy is the finding that once kids have been involved in preparing a particular dish, they're much more likely to eat it. The next challenge is to get the message and the recipes home to mum and dad. The Eat Your Words program is an initiative of the Sanitarium Nutrition Service, which is owned and operated by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Christian television is making its way to some of the remotest corners of the globe, connecting with people who might never otherwise get the chance to hear the gospel. In the South Pacific region, the Hope Channel network is expanding, with a deal being signed in Tonga for Christian programming to be broadcast free-to-air via Digicel's new digital platform. On the even smaller islands of Tokelau, one local council has agreed to allow Hope Channel broadcasts in its territory. And the Adventist Church, which operates Hope Channel, has been able to purchase a small TV station on Norfolk Island, off the coast of New South Wales. Plans and negotiations are also underway to bring Hope Channel free to air to the much larger viewing audiences of Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. A Christian ministry in Palestine is offering a radical reinterpretation of Israel's identity that they hope may lead to the reconciliation of Jews and Palestinians. American missionary Reverend Terry McIntosh says DNA research from the Hebrew University reveals that the majority of Palestinians are descended from the remnant of the 10 lost tribes of Israel rather than from Philistines or Arabs. In that case, he says, Palestinians should be claiming Israel as their divine inheritance alongside the Jews. Some Palestinians, both Muslim and Christian, have embraced the idea, but Israel's deputy foreign minister has rejected the suggestion of a reunited 12 tribes. A number of workers at a high-tech office block in Sweden have taken up the offer to have a microchip implanted in their hand that they can use instead of an access card. According to the UK's Telegraph newspaper, the chip, which is about the size of a grain of rice, allows staff to swipe through doors, access the photocopier and purchase items at the workplace canteen. Australian Christian commentator Mal Fletcher says a recent study by the Visa company found that 25% of Australians were at least slightly interested in the convenience of a chip implant when making their purchases. For some Christians, these kinds of technologies have always echoed Revelation 13's description of a mark on the hand or forehead that allows people to buy or sell. But is it a fair point to make, or just paranoia?
I think it's always smart and wise to keep our eye on what's happening around the world today, but more importantly, what does this book, the Bible, say? Does it square with what Scripture says? And Scripture says in the end of time the mark is taken by people who refuse to give allegiance to God by the keeping of His commandments.
In 2004, the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Boston in the United States was struggling with finances and decided to close 70 parishes. But the remnants of the congregation of St. Francis Xavier Cabrini Church refused to leave, and now, more than a decade later, they're still there. The protesters have maintained their 24-hour vigil at the church the entire time. Some are more than 80 years old.
I'm going to lay on the floor. They're going to have to carry me out.
Late last month, a Massachusetts judge ordered the protesters out with a week's notice. But the vigil has continued while the parishioners explore their legal options. And that's the news for this week. For more Record InFocus videos, political commentary, lifestyle advice and inspirational interviews, please visit our website at record.net.au. Thank you for your company and God bless. I'll see you next time.